reading practice from the book Magic Words I Am. In 2017, scientists from Stanford University tried to find out police community interactions obviously depend on a host of complicated factors. But to begin to understand what might be going on, the researchers focused on language, how officers talk to white and black community members. Working with the city of Oakland, California, the scientists examined body camera footage from thousands of routine traffic stops. They analyzed hundreds of cases where black motorists were stopped and a similar number where the motorist was white. Such interactions often follow a common script. A motorist is stopped for driving too fast or having an expired registration. After taking some notes, checking the license plate, and making sure that everything else is in order, the officer often walks up to the driver's side window. When things go well, a conversation ensues. The officer explains why the motorist was stopped and asks for license and registration to run some background checks. The motorist provides the information and waits patiently while any necessary checks are run. Eventually, the situation is resolved and the two parties part ways. The motorist may receive a ticket or instruction to get something fixed, but everything ends amicably. Not all conversations, though, are this straightforward, and there are many ways the interactions can go sideways. The officers may be concerned that the motorist is armed, drunk, or on drugs. The motorist may feel scared or anxious and lash out verbally or otherwise. Things can quickly get out of hand. While both sides obviously play a role, the words officers use are critical. They can communicate respect and understanding or contempt and disregard. They can calm a worried motorist down or make them more anxious. By parsing the language officers used, the researchers tested whether white and black drivers were treated with a differing degree of respect. Watching every single stop would be time consuming, and the researchers' own biases could affect their judgments. So they let the language speak for itself. They used machine learning to objectively measure and quantify the language used. The findings were striking. Hundreds of hours of interactions showed them the language used toward black drivers were less polite, less friendly, and less respectful. When talking to white motorists, for example, officers were more likely to use formal titles, example, sir or madam, often reassurance, example, it's okay, don't worry, no problem, or offer the motorist agency, example, you can or you could. They were some more they were more likely to use the motorist's last name, talk about safety, or use polite words. When talking to black motorists, however, officers were more likely to use informal titles. Example, dude, buddy, champ, ask questions, or tell them to keep their hands on the wheel. Put simply, the findings demonstrate that police interactions with black community members are more fraught than their interactions with white community members. To be fair, one could wonder whether these differences are driven by something other than race. Maybe officers were more polite to white motorists because the white motorists who were stopped happened to be older or were not likely to be female. Alternatively, maybe the differences were due to the severity of the offense. If some motorists were stopped for more minor things, example a broken tail light, and others were stopped for more major ones, maybe the offense itself drove the linguistic differences, or maybe the differences were due to the race of the officer who was speaking, or whether a search was being conducted. Even controlling for all those aspects, though the result still held. Officers spoke to black community members with less respect, even considering someone who was the same age and gender and stopped in the same part of town for the same type of issue. Officers' language was more respectful when the person was white. and the difference was not driven by just a couple of rogue officers among hundreds of officers, whether white, black, Hispanic, Asian, or other. The pattern persisted. Black motorists were treated with less respect. That's it for the day.